In this video, we're going to take a look at a technique which I'll call the inspire and adapt technique, which allows us to take an input of an image and then to transform that image in some way. Now, the workflow here is pretty easy to use. You start off with an input, and the input is going to be hopefully 1024 by 1024 pixels. This is the image here. And what we do is we put that into a crop. If we need to crop it to 1024 by 1024, that might be useful. And then we also have an upscaler, and that can be used to, for instance, this image here is 2048 by 2048. So we can reduce the size by 0.5, and that will give us the correct size of image for the workflow. And then we come up here for the loading of the checkpoints. Now, in order to, this actually does use checkpoints. It doesn't use the units. So for this one, you'll need to download the checkpoints for Stable Diffusion, and I'll show you where to find those. So the checkpoints are found in the Stable Cascade Comfy UI checkpoints area. We need both of these. We're going to be using those. So it's a little bit less complicated than the other setup where we've got 3 checkpoints or 3 units. Now, the actual trick is to input a prompt, a positive prompt, which is going to give us an image that resembles the original image. So here we've got the original image. We've got an output which basically resembles it. And the prompt that I came up with here is Indian man in a suit and tie, wearing glasses, beard, coiffed hair, catch lights. And what we then need to do is to slightly alter that so that it produces the new version that we want. Now, with this particular setup, we've only got 2 case samplers, and we've only got 2 checkpoints that we're opening up. We don't need to have 3. We don't need to have 3 loaders to load up 3 different models. Once we've got a situation like this, then we're good to go. We need to change the prompt to whatever it is we want the new prompt to be. Now, I found for this particular setup, I just needed something like this. I didn't need to have the particular type of man. I just needed to have suit and tie. And then the rest of the information about where we are, in terms of how he looks. I put in supermodel eyes. That's something which I found just produce good looking eyes, because we tend to get all sorts of zombie-like results. And I wanted the eyes to look at least a little bit natural, a little bit normal. And when we run this, we get our Halloween freak of a zombie here. So you can see that the resemblance between the original and the new, calling this the remix. And really, it's such an easy thing to do. You just need to run it a few times and you'll get something that looks pretty reasonable. If it's not perfect, you can go ahead and go ahead and play around with the prompt until you get something which looks better and hopefully not too horrific. And you can use this for all kinds of transformations. Just use the input as the inspiration and then see what sort of output you can get. Sometimes it works perfectly. Sometimes you may find with very complicated images that it has difficulty reading the image. It has difficulty replicating the image. The images that I find work best are the ones from stock sites like Adobe Stock or Canva. We need to talk about one other thing, which is the prompt strength. Now, this is a value that you can change. So if I were to increase this, let's say to 0.8, we should see more of the prompt. I'll keep it between 0.6 and about 0.9. If we run this one, we should see a much more vivid depiction of the actual prompt. And dear me, it looks like our fella genuinely has come back from the dead here. So that's with a high value for the prompt strength. If we reduce the prompt strength to about 0.5, it becomes it's a bit more challenging to actually get the difference between the original showing. And here we are with representative of the undead. We can right click and choose copy clip space, and then we can come here and paste. And this becomes our new starting point, our new inspiration. So that's how it works. This is very similar to a concept known as the IP adapter, which is found with Stable Diffusion. And it's a very powerful way of working with images to create new images. It sort of adds something extra from the image that's put in as the input. But here we're doing it with just Stable Cascade. There is no adapter. It is just the built-in features of Stable Cascade. So You may or may not want to give this a try. I would recommend, if you want to give this a try, to take into account that you can use it to produce beautiful images. It doesn't need to be producing zombies.